Well, while I was asleep, there were a bunch of stupid losers that don't have jobs that apparently are trying to get themselves harmed in some way by once again forcing me to defend myself. Now, we'll get to the exacts of it after some people get in here. Just saying. Now, for a moment, I'll go back to what I was doing. Because Adrastia, she posted something that I have to make a video of today. And it's so stupid, I thought about making a Adrastia medal out of it. And I was, hello, and I was trying to pick the correct song. So, like I said, I was sitting here with my library of music, and I'm trying to think the mood of it. I mean, someone asked, where is Roberta? That's all someone asked in the comments. So now she's telling everyone that Adonis's Paul's fans has stolen Roberta's body. And they'll do anything, basically. So, this is one of the stupidest things in YouTube history. So, unfortunately, I'll have to make a video on it later. But it's so stupid that, you know, I've got Adrastia's first album of 11 songs already set up. I just have to shoot it. I just didn't want to spam you guys with it constantly until it was done. But this may be the bonus track. You know how many times in an album they'll have a bonus track? Yes, I think there's going to be a 12th track, and it will be the bonus track of her trying to claim that Adonis's Paul's fans have stolen Roberta's body, so that proves they'll go after anyone's graves. So yes, as I was getting this live together, she posted that, and I listened to it, and I'm definitely going to have to respond to that. Now, I'm going to get chat up, and I'm going to play 3 minutes of music. Now, on Adrastia Metal, this is the source music that I played for Royce Rage, and the track is called Dirty Rat.
Hey, it's me.
Oh, I forgot commercial. And I'm going to get a chat up. Yes, I just got up a few minutes ago. So, you know, I'm not even fully awake. In fact, you can see I'm still under a blanket. And yes, I do have pants on. Sweatpants, but I do have pants. No, it wasn't. Because Nicolina had to be at work in the morning, and this was in the middle of the night. I mean, let's get some logic here. You know, I personally know many times when Nicolina goes to bed because I know her schedule. And I also know what time she gets up. And in reality, she goes to bed early enough usually, I can get a hold of her pretty early. Now, once again, for that to have been her, it definitely wouldn't have been. Put it that way. And also, there's other people that are watching that have wrenches. And they can verify accounts. Now, I'm sure this is rap, because I looked at the words, said that I'm going to go over it. And those were rap words. You see, if you told me convince someone of X, at first I would appraise X. Now, other people don't do this. They take their same line of argument and projection. Where I look at the target audience and I think, what would they understand? What would resonate with them? Hello, Nicolina. Because sometimes I won't use Roger logic. I will use Paul logic. Now, Paul logic is much more confusing than Roger logic. Roger logic was straightforward. But Paul logic, for example, to give you an example, Paul had a story. He went out, they rented a houseboat, he was on a lake, and he jumped off the back of the boat into the lake. Okay, you see, I said that really quickly. Now, for Paul to say this, it 45 minutes. I shit you not. Because he's telling you every intricate detail along the way of every fucking thing that you don't care about. And me and Troy, we were high and, used to be you had to troll in real life. So we actually timed this. Troy told me about it, and I went up there like, Paul, tell me about the houseboat. And, I looked at, what time it was, and once again, 45 minutes to tell me we rented a houseboat, we went to the lake, and I jumped off the back of the houseboat into the water. Now, once again, sometimes convoluted Paul logic is the way to get through to people. Well, you see, this is now, since it's kind of relevant now, I will go into what I was going towards the third to fourth of this live. Now, Rap is coming out to attack everyone. He is hiding, he's not going on YouTube because his plan is to not give anything to attack, and he plans on attacking. Now, once again, I used to be a professional criminal. I mean, I'm good with violence. And he's trying to intimidate or get Melton to come to harm me. Well, I will just get the address of Rap. Now, the fact of the matter is, Rap, she said she would give me your address. Now, let me be straight about this, because I thought about this when I read this, and I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to have Nicolina give me your address one way or the other, bitch. Yes. Yes, I am going to, remember how a moment ago I said you craft an argument occasionally to get what you want? By the way, Nicolina, I'm talking about manipulating you to your face because I'm being honest and all. So yes, I am going to craft an argument to where Nicolina will give me your address. And then I will actually have it for the first time. And then if anything happens here, we're going to talk a little bit about my criminal past. Now, once again, those motherfuckers at Mindsight dick the hell out of me. Now, Roger has options in the world. Now, Roger is not Melton. Roger's not going to kick in their door and say, I'm a pretty princess with a 9mm. Roger don't do that. But what Roger would do is find some really, really despicable criminals and convince them of all the cash that you have. Now, in my criminal career, what I used to do, if I had to totally eliminate something close to me, is I would find some of these monsters and I would give them a few easy scores. And then, this was all a setup. And then I would tell them about the big score. And then there would be a home invasion to where they would have their doors kicked open with absolutely zero anything tied to Roger Brown. I have said multiple times during I'm almost 55. So if you divide my age of 2, during that era, I was an evil motherfucker when I had to be. Hello, YTS. Well, yeah, Peach, I had watched that. Now, see, the thing is Roger, just from seeing that, I knew all of this. Because once again, I had to deal, all of my friends were criminals. All of them were going to fuck you at some point. So you had to figure out where everyone's angle is, where it's going, and head them off for your own safety. So those skill set that I gained in my first half of my life, I could look at that and I could basically tell. And I know the hours that you keep. It's like someone in here a moment ago saying, it was Nickerliner. And I said, no, it isn't, because Nickerlina's in bed at that hour. You learn things about people over time. Hello, Gray Gray. Now, once again, rap is trying to bring evil to their house. Now, also, once again, my mentor. My mentor, well, he was a small guy. He was probably an inch shorter than Ernie. It's just where Ernie is thin and skinny, he was built like a muscular brick. He was short, but he was basically a muscular human brick. Now, his neighbor had the stereo way too loud. Now, he respectfully asked him 2 times to turn it down. Number 3, he kicked open the guy's door, ripped it out of the wall, and he threw it out on the street. And from then on, when anyone ever he asked them to turn anything down, they gladly did. Now, this unfortunately, in my first half of my life, I learned the extreme leaves an impression. And this was the guy that taught me how to do things. Now, once again, this is a Roger thing. I like to explain things for stupid animals. Because I don't really want to harm this stupid animal, but, the multitude of fuckery that I committed and never went to jail for is astounding. I remember with my buddy Troy one day, I was on the street, like, I can't believe the shit we get away with. And this is the person that your boyfriend is now. Now, one other thing that I used to do to intimidate my buddies, remember I mentioned Paul. Paul was a genius too. See, this is one of the reasons why I am so smart. Because 2 of my criminal career friends, one of them was a genius, and one of them might have been. He was never tested enough, but he might have been. So these were my peers and my competitors. Now, both of these individuals knew each other before I did. They knew each other from when they were younger, from when they just were starting to hit teens. Now, Paul, now imagine you being a parent. Most of you ladies have. Now, Paul at 12 years old, he blew a hole this big in his floor. Yes, at 12 years old, you imagine sitting in your living room and there's a giant explosion and you come in and there's a crater in your son's bedroom. That was Paul's first attempt at an explosive device. And once again, as a teenager, when, I didn't believe him at first, so, I got showed and Paul built something, and that ended up a competition. Because once again, this was way back when. And so I would build something that would blow up, he would blow something that would blow up, and, it became a competition. And about every 4 or 5 months, we'd get together, we would drink, we would party, and we'd find like an old, we'd do it at some unique spot. There'd be something like an old car or something, and we would blow it to smithereens. And it was fun, because, you're high, you got the adrenaline, and then you got the event, and all of a sudden there's a giant kaboom! And metal goes everywhere, and everyone, cheers and laughs, and we had a good time. And those were, parties that we had a couple times a year for several years. There was a method behind this madness, because once again, if any of my criminal compatriots wanted to get miffy with me about a deal or something, I would look at them like this and say, I will blow you up. And once again, that ended the conversation right there. I mean, you could see a mad person just stop at that point because, once again, they completely knew that that was in the believability of reality. Now, this is the person that your 29-year-old punk is trying to incite. You know, I'm admitting criminality that I can never be held accountable for. You know, now, once again, I'm not going to tell anyone on how to do any of these dastardly things, but it's not hard because, as I said, 12-year-old Paul built his first bomb and blew out his wooden floor in his bedroom. And his parents were pissed. Now, Paul's father died when he was about 15. He died of cancer. So, by the time I had met Paul, about when I was 15, now see, Paul was older than I was. So I met Paul when he was about 17, and you know, at the time I was 15, because my core friends when I was younger were all older than me. You know, but I developed quicker than my peers. So, you know, it didn't look like I was younger than them, even though I was considerably younger than them, just barely 15. Okay, OG. But now Rap wants to, and they think they're going to scare me. I mean, I whip some of the scariest bikers in the universe. Now, at one poker run, I even took one to the, we got a cat fight in the other room. Stop it! I've got wild cats in the house. Okay, honey? Yes, I got wild kitties in the house because they've come in to eat. They're not my cats fighting, by the way. Yes, those are two wild cats that are in my kitchen coming to get dinner, and they're fighting over the food bowl. Yes, because looking in there, those are not my kitties in there. My kitties apparently ate, you know, when I put the food out, and the wildcats have come in to eat, and they've decided to fight. So, you know, once again, I have to laugh. Now, another thing I have to laugh about is, you know, let me see. Rap's 29, and it's, so that means he had to have been born around 93. I mean, 93? I was 25 years old. I mean, I was well into in the highlight of my criminal career back then. And back then, I used to make a lot of money. Now, in 93, I didn't. But by, when would that be? Mid-1994, I was making $5,000 in cash every 10 days. Because one of the funniest things that, see, as a thug, I mean, you get priceless moments that you don't see on TV. Now, I'm sitting in a bar called Good Old Days, D-A-Z-E. That was our club bar. Now, I have a guy that tries to solicit me to kill someone. And he's all nervous and shit. I mean, he's practically sweating. And he offers me $5,000. I have this look on my face, and I laugh in his face and explain to him that I make $5,000 tax-free every 10 days in perpetuity. Now, this kind of hurts my head, but had I not moved to Kentucky and tried to get a family, I would have made that $5,000 a week in perpetuity until I went to jail or died. Well, this way, YTS, it's probably better for your safety. Because it's like Christmas shopping. When I was a young man, Christmas shopping was easy. Because remember that Paul I told you about in Troy? Well, Troy had a half-brother, and all of us would get together, and we would do our Christmas shopping together. Yes, we had thug Christmas shopping together. Now, we're all in our harness boots, in our leather jackets, in our matching shirts. Now, I'll tell you another cool little story. We all had matching shirts because one of our side friends that bought weed from us was an artist that made shirts. Now, anyone know Anne Rice and her Vampire Chronicle series? The Vampire Lestat. Now, in the book The Vampire Lestat has a band. And that was a part of the book. Now, my friend, created Vampire Lestat tour t-shirts for the band. So, I remember one Christmas vividly, we were all wearing our Vampire Lestat t-shirts, in our leather jackets and our harness boots on, and we're going to the mall. Now, you know how crowded it is at the mall during Christmas? They just open up for us like it's like being the king. You know, you hear those boots, because now, once again, you know, we would walk in unison. You know, you would hear all of our boots hitting the ground at the same time. And that is intimidating. And everyone would just part for the Red Sea. Wherever we would go, you know, the big giant crowds would just open up for us. And I used to say, literally, it must be a bitch to be anyone else. But, you know, this is my old life. I mean, used to be, it was funny one time we were, once again, remember I said I had some smart friends? We would ponder the greater things of life. And one time it's like, how much crime do we actually commit? So we took about 3 months, and I had it figured that I committed 5 to 6 felonies a day. I mean, on a typical day, I committed 5 to 6 felonies. That's a typical day. You know, that's not an abnormal day. Now, to caveat that, in Ohio, your bowl was a felony. So as soon as I picked my pipe up and put it in my pocket and walked out the door, I committed my first felony. So, you know, once again, I want to caveat the levels of these felonies because many states have stupid laws. Like the marijuana was a misdemeanor. It was a payout ticket. Anything under 100 grams was a payout ticket. But your pipe was a felony. I mean, like I said, Ohio has some stupid laws. But yes, now at the time too, if you had papers, they'd charge you with a felony over them too. And that used to irk me because I'm like, you can go in there and buy them at the store, but the instant you walked out with them, you were a felon. Now, they would let them sell papers, but if they found you with those papers, because this was before the majority of people rolled cigarettes, and they would charge you with a felony. So, you know, this was a whole different world. Now, where I live down here is a whole nother different world. I mean, if I ever get Jimbo into court, he's screwed. Because I'm a landowner with no criminal record. Because I'm really good at this. Because another thing, back during my criminal career, I made sure to let everyone know that if there was anything, a loose end, it was going away. You know, we tied, once again, I said I had wonderful, intelligent friends, and they weren't wonderful. That was sarcasm. But, you know, we covered each other's butts because we were smart. And we also enjoyed poking at each other. Because when one of us would get a stupid idea that could put us in jail, the other two would remind the one of it, like, this is what you've not thought of. This, and this. And this is how I learned to have my analytical skills. Because even though I don't have Paul with me, and I don't have Troy with me, I do know what they would say. So all I got to do is think like them a little bit. And and I can analyze perfectly. Because what I'm doing is taking my reasoning skills into other people's perspective and logic when I analyze every problem. And in this way, I do not get bogged down in my own dogma. Now, this is important because rap does. You look at what he typed there. Yeah, that was him. He thinks he's going to scare me. I mean, it's not going to scare me. Now, it might make me think about what is believable that Smoky Mountain Mama might have around her house of high value. Because, I've done this quite many times when I was a young 20-something. I make lunatics useful. Now, once again, around here, there's only two people that I know of here that would be actually physically dangerous to one-on-one. And both of them are fucking psychos. Absolutely psychos. Now, I have found a strange thing that I can speak to these people, that I resonate with them. Now, to tell you a funny thing, when I was first having seizures, this was before I started buying pot. One of these guys' wives asked me to go into the back bedroom with her. And that was kind of funny because she wanted to go back there to talk, and I didn't want to because, once again, because, everyone was getting high in the main room, and she wanted me to go in the back room with her and talk. Now, I didn't, but, he was cool with it, though. He even said, if you want to, and I just said, I don't plan on staying that long. Because I didn't want to get involved in whatever she was wanting to talk about. Because it could have been business, it could have been pleasure, but, I wasn't going to incite crazy man. Because where the other one is probably more physically impressive, he's the size of a pro wrestler. Now, this one over here, he could actually kill you. The other one, well, he could actually kill you too, but he would be more likely just to beat you into nothing. So, this is my life. I've got the McCoys down the road. Everyone around here is scared of the McCoys. They are too. Very much so. Remember the guy that I told you that gave me the deer meat and all? He would be willing to shoot a McCoy on sight on his property. He would too. He'd go, boom, and they would be dead. Because, like I said, everyone around here is scared of the McCoys. Now, the McCoys are scared of me. And that is usually how it is wherever I go. The people that generally society are scared of, well, are the ones that are scared of me. Now, this is another strange dynamic is usually psychos don't like to fight each other. Because once again, the two individuals I talk about, they have trouble with everyone but me. And the other one that I mentioned that, probably wouldn't you, John motherfucking York. And I say his full name because he would insist on me saying his full name. Now, where I said motherfucking, he does insist on that. And he does insist on being referred to as John motherfucking York. Now, John motherfucking York, well, he enjoys combat. And as I said, he is the size of an actual pro wrestler. I have to add, if I'm standing with him and I'm looking at him, I've got to do that. Now, one of the proud stories that when you meet John motherfucking York, he will tell you in the first 5 minutes of meeting him was about him fighting 4 cops. Now, when John motherfucking York gets arrested, he don't go halfway. He makes the cops have to fight him. So they will have to be in a group pepper spraying him and beating this giant monster with clubs well, he commits battery against them. Now, I don't know if he's in jail or not right now, but I kind of think about 65% chance he's in jail. That's where, all these people like Jimbo that, I'm like, do you realize that if you get put in jail, what could actually possibly happen to you if you get put in the right place with the right person that I know? I mean, with absolutely positively nothing tied to me. Now, when there's local jails here, there's another thing that's different than if you go to jail. When you go to jail, you're in booking. And they will tell you who, before they put you in there, they will list off who everyone's in holding. And they will ask, do you have a beef with any of them? I'm not kidding. And if you have a beef with any of them, they will separate you. And this is what they do locally. Now, once again, we're smart criminals here, so there's a trick. So if I get someone and get into a fight and get both of us thrown in jail, then what happens is when they're listing that off, who's in jail, who's in jail, who's in jail. When they hit my buddy, when they hit my good friend, you go, that one. You go, that motherfucker. And he's your best friend. But at that moment, you're talking to the cops and they're reading off the list. Yeah, he and I, we would have to scrap. And then they will put you somewhere else. And then they will put the person you had the fight with in holding with your friend. And your friend in holding pretty much at that point has holding on his side. So then your friend beats the hell with all of his buddies. So once again, if I get someone put in jail, if I get put in jail for a fight and get both of us put in jail, if I've got someone in on the other side, that dude's going to get gang stomped. I mean, this is the reality of where I live. Now, if I go down to court day, I could go all down the line and meet all sorts of people that I've not seen in years. Because when I get false arrested, I mean, it was kind of funny because court date was awful homey, and a lot of times you knew people that you didn't know were going to court. So, like I say, we're wrapping all of them, trying to make, I mean, if I go to jail, I know people. I mean, it's not like I'm going to some horrible place that's so scary. Now, there might be a young pump or two that I'll have to annihilate, but, I would do that outside the jail. But, I am just jesting in most part, but, I am serious about, all of my crimes in the past, because I can't be held accountable for any of it, and I don't go around doing that anymore. That was over half a lifetime ago. But it still works the same way. Now, once again, what I just told you about here, that's standard operating procedure. And right now, there's a McCoy in jail right now. The one that would always stop by here on the motorcycle, he's currently in jail for 6 months. And once again here, I mean, for people like Rack, they think jail and he gets all scared. I mean, I'll see the McCoy in 6 months. Trying to think, I guess it's been about 2.5 so far, so he's probably about halfway done with his 6 months in. So that means he got a year. Because, if he's going to get out in 6 months, that means they gave him a year in jail. And like I said, he'll be out in a few months. And then he'll do whatever he wants, and I'll see him again, I'm sure. Now, it's nice that one of his family members did fix his motorcycle. Because I had mentioned in a vlog that I couldn't abscond with his bike anymore. Now, see, this is another thing that they don't know. Now, see, his mother, everyone has to call her Granny. She's not related to me in any way. But even I have to call her Granny. Anytime that I really, there's a few times I went to the store on his bike. Because what he would do is do meth for like 4 or 5 days and then sleep for a day. And while he would be crashed for the day sometime, I would go down to Granny and ask to borrow his bike and give her $10. And that would get me out of walking 10 miles, I was basically paying for $1 a mile, but in reality, I could still do that. And it looks like the wheel to his motorcycle has just got put back on. I mean, it's a whole different... So the funny thing is, I can steal his bike with his mother's permission. Anytime I really want. I just have to put gas in it. Now, I am nice that if I abscond with his bike, I put more gas in it than I use. But, I mean, I'm willing to do that, and it's wrong. I shouldn't be doing this. But yes, I've done that, and it's wrong. I shouldn't use someone else's property without their permission. But I put it back in good condition with more gas than it is, and I let his mother know that I'm doing it before he do. Now, once again, would you have enough balls to do that? Now, let's put it here. Would you have balls to go up to someone's mother and it's like, I would like to abscond with your son's motorcycle. I need to get to the store. And she's just absolutely fine with it. I mean, I didn't offer any money first. And after she said it was okay if I abscond with his motorcycle, I would give her some money. Actually, YTS, I probably could have got him to let me borrow it. Once again, I'm telling on me. If I really asked him nice, he would. But it's a lot more funner for me to do it this way. Yes. And that's the big reason. Because it's much funner for me to do it without him knowing it. Because Granny's not telling him. Now, I figured, first time I did it, I figured Granny would tell him. But she didn't. And I thought, why? And then I went, oh, because he's a leech. He would want some of the money or all of it. Because like I say, the first time I did it, I expected her to tell him. And she didn't. And that made it funny. So like I said, if I really, 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 really want to, for $10 and a little gas money in the bike, I can abscond with his motorcycle. Now, the ignition doesn't work. You've actually got to do the old twist the wires together thing. Now, he doesn't have the key to the ignition either. So when he starts it, he has to do that too. So he's got the whole little setup to start it right there. Once again, telling. So all I got to do is, get on the bike and just wrap those wires and put those tape around it and kick that sucker right started. Well, Amber, he is. I mean, last night he was trying to get Melton to come harm me. And this is why we're here today. And I want Smoky Mountain Mama to know on all of the shit that I used to get away with. I mean, I might smile a lot, but in reality, I am not proud of myself. It may seem that I'm coming off as being proud of myself, but really, if you get down below face value, I am not proud of myself. I do think it's funny, but I am not proud of myself. That's where I used to tell people, it's wrong. It's wrong. It's absolutely positively wrong. We should not be doing this. Though it is absolutely positively fun. Yes, see, that was also a thing too, Sometimes I would point out the wrongness of it all, but then I would have to admit that it's damn fun. Well, yes, Ronnie, rap is trying to get Melton to harm me. And I'm explaining to Smoky Mountain Mama what he is doing. I mean, he's inciting a professional criminal. I mean, I used to get away with anything, and I didn't like that. I don't want to live in the world where someone can get away with anything. I have no criminal record. I should be under the jail. Hello, Janaka. I mean, when they put me on Xanax for between 15 to 19, it made me into a complete psychopath. I'm not kidding. This is why I hate doctors. Well, for multiple reasons. But I mean, I had really bad effects. And if you give me pain pills for more than 5 days, you will start to see changes in my personality. And I will become absolutely positive. I would be a danger to everyone around me. But like I say, I know not to take them. I take aspirin. I don't take pain pills. Because, once again, we aligned events in my life through therapy and me on a pill. Either it be a pain pill or those Xanax. Because for those years, that 3.5 years I was on Xanax, I was an absolute positive human monster. I'm not kidding. I mean, evil. I mean, evil beyond your comprehension. But it all turned out that it was the pills. Now, once again, when they took me off them, that all went away. I mean, complete personality transition in a matter of weeks. Hello, Kaz. And when I had seizures, they tried to put me on Seroquel for them. Seroquel made me psychotic. After 3 weeks, I was planning everyone's murder. Not kidding on that either. And that was the pills. And because where I told you about the Xanax and how they had me on them and made me the monster, I immediately knew this wasn't right. And I went and I opened the door, I took the bottle of pills, and I went zing as hard and as far as I could. And then about 2.5 weeks later, after that drug got out of my system, I no longer wished to harm anyone. But yeah, I mean, he thinks that, but the thing is anyone that incites violence against me, they better expect it to be returned. It's just where he has no resources to do this, I do. I mean, there's an Iron Horseman's brother that wants my property more than you can imagine. And me not having any heirs, he's tried to get me to leave him my property. I'm not kidding. Now, once again, if I was to leave this property to the Iron Horseman, one, it wouldn't be a good idea. But I mean, these are my peers. I mean, I live in a horrible place full of horrible people. Hello, traders. So, once again, they can clip any of this they want. There's none of my past crimes that can be held against me. And there's not. Any felony I committed in the state of Kentucky, the statute of limitations has passed on it a long, long time ago. In fact, last September, about September 12th or so of last year, the statute of limitations cleared on everything. So that's why I have to laugh, because any crime that I've ever committed in Kentucky, I can jump up and down and say, I did it, I did it, I did it, I did it, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. Now, Rap is a 29-year-old punk. And once again, I don't put up with bullshit. Now, once again, one thing that makes me sad I'll talk about is I thought I had some friends on the other side, and they have chosen to side with that little punk. Now, also, I thought I had a friend, Kim Tucky. She's taken me to the store a couple times. She's been here. She even had an invite to fish at my house. And she was in other people's chat talking shit about me. When Asia bought him a tablet, where is it? Well, let me see. I have 3 shelves right over here. And it's sitting in its box. Because this is my old tablet. You know, so I don't worry about this. This is my old tablet. Now, if someone buys me something nice, I take care of it. So after I'm done using that tablet, I put it back in its little plastic sleeve, and I put it back in the box so the kitties don't scratch it up. In Kentucky, that's where that tablet is. And I use it for my own personal entertainment. And I really do appreciate Asia buying it. And I really wish that she would have came over here and not decided to have been an asshole. But that is her choice. Now, this is your choice. Now, I really do appreciate you buying me a meal. I really do appreciate that you took me to Walmart for 2 times. I really do. Now, once again, it's sad that you turned against me over a 29-year-old punk on the internet that's manipulating you. He attacked and threatened me. He engineered this whole thing to make another island to grift money, and you dumbasses fall for it. And that's where the tablet is. Now, once again, Kim, I'm very disappointed in you. And it shows me that I can't trust you no more, so I'll just have to find someone else to take me to the store. And I'm sure that Pindar will get onto that. And we cannot associate, although I really wanted to be your friend. You know, I wanted you to come here with your family and fish. Because, as you know, I have a beautiful place. Now, Kentucky, as you also know, my place is set up as a death trap. Because she does. I mean, Kentucky could give you the whole layout of this place. And where I said that before on the internet, this whole place is set up for my safety, you have no idea how well this place is set up for my safety. It is a veritable fortress/death trap to anyone that comes in it that is not supposed to be here. And hello, Karen. But I have to laugh about that. I mean, you know, Kim, you're on the wrong side. You do have the choice of coming over and being on the right side. I mean, I was willing to be neutral to everyone, and then Rap started attacking me. And I just defended myself. And if you don't like it, fuck you. That's all I have to say. You know, if you feel that way, Kentucky, just pretend you never knew me. Now, I wanted to be your friend. You're not blocked here. And you're welcome to come in here and to chat. But I'm telling you right now, you're on the wrong side. And Asia, again, I'm going to tell you, you're on the wrong side. I gave everyone the opportunity to come here and be neutral. You people chose it to be over there. Now, I've had a new policy in the last few days. Anyone over at Jimbo's place, I'm blocking. Anyone over at Rap's, your ass is going to get blocked here. Just saying. But this is the way that rap decided, and you decided it has to be. Hello, yeah, Mom. And hello, Lisa. And hello, Gregory. Hello, Bubba. I've been on a bit of a rant. But, I mean, it's like my house. I can get up on top of my roof real easy. From my deck. I've got it set up on my deck that I can climb right up on my roof. And I've got a whole line of pine trees right here next to my house. They're a windbreak. I mean, in reality, if I slipped out this window right here, I could slip over those pine trees and slip up one, and no one would ever know I was here. And if I took a bow with me up that tree, everyone here would be screwed that wasn't supposed to be here. I had to blow my nose for a minute. My little kitty in my lap was making my nose run. Hello, Pindar. Now, an interesting Roger fact. When was this? About 5 years ago. I was down in the woods doing my stuff. And I found a bow. Someone ages ago had lost a 1970s style Formica bow. It didn't have any modern affinities, but an old-fashioned bow. So I do have a bow. And when I need that bow, I string that bow. And you see, guns, they go boom. That bow, those arrows just come out of silence. Now, a spoiler, I would only use the bow if I was in the pines because of range. Because the bow from the pine would give me a certain defensive range. So I would only use the bow if I was in the pines. Just say it. Now, when anyone comes here on the property, this is what happens. They are knocking, and then they turn around and I'm there. Like fucking Batman. Because as I said, this whole place is set up for my safety. And Kentucky has not even seen half of the features. But just coming in and going out once, she agreed that anyone that came here to attack me is fucked. So, I know that, she knows that, and once again, I'd be more than happy to have her give a full description of everything. Because the way I've set this up, there's not a damn thing anyone can do about it. For one, I have 5 bedrooms. I have 3 bedrooms in this trailer. I have 2 bedrooms in another trailer. My old one. And I sleep in all of them. Yes. Now, once again, I'm not dummy. Because the best way to get me would be to try to get you while you're asleep. But as I said, I have 5 bedrooms. And I sleep in all 5 bedrooms. This bedroom, I'm sleeping on 2 chairs. Yes, you would be surprised, but yes, this right here is my bed. 2 chairs. This is a big, old, expensive lounge-style chair I've taken a part of the back of to make it recline. And this is another nice chair pulled up to it. And I got blankets all over them both. And I got extra blankets over the back. That way it goes over the chair, and under the chair it creates a little square, and kitties get under there. Taylor Autumn likes to sleep. Now, you're on another chair right here. And Taylor Autumn, while I'm sleeping, will sleep under this chair. Now, another cool feature about my bed chair is there's a little gap. So it's like right now, I can take my feet with my bed chair, and I can have them just sitting like a normal chair. And even though I'm in my bed right now, my feet are on the ground. Now, when Taylor Autumn is under this chair sleeping, my feet will be down with her, and then she's my kitty foot warmer. like I say, I don't see the world like you do. I see it like an animal. Like a Richella. She feels pregnant. Where I'm rubbing on her belly right here. Yes, this feels like the first. She has either ate too much or she's pregnant. Which one is it? Is it a big shit? So, yes, either Richella is either going to have babies or she's got a food baby. Now, she did go in the other room and eat. So, I'm hoping she's got a food baby. Well, yes, Lisa. And, well, the barn has special features too. Let's put it that way. I can get all through that barn from any part of it and you not see it. As I said, this whole place is set up for my defense. With my gaming room, 1, 2, 3, 5 ways. There's one set of steps up to my gaming room, but I have 5 ways out of it. And if you look in the gaming room, you do not see any of these that you would recognize. Because in the old barn loft, it's got where you got the hay up there, and I've got a rope attached there with a glove, sitting on a tack. Because if I want to, I just run up, I can grab that glove, and I can just slide straight down like a fire pole. Like I say, I am psychologically unique. And I like adrenaline. So where normal people can use the stairs, if I really want to, I've got a rope and just grab it and I can slide down the back of the barn anytime I want. Like I said, I've got 5 ways out of that loft and you only see one of them. And I'm only mentioning the rope one because it's the one that I am least likely to use. Because tactically, being behind the barn isn't tactical. Unless I go for their vehicles. Yeah, that would be it. See, that's where I have good ideas. Now you see, once again in my criminal career, I would troll. And I'm thinking, it would be really funny if someone came to kill me and I steal their car. Yes, it would be funny if people think they've got me, pinned up in the loft and then slide down, work my way around, and steal their car. And then, me turning it around and revving it and, put up some music high and waving at them, as I'm going down the road. That would be kind of funny if I steal their car. Now, what I would do, though, is take that car down to the creek and I'd put it in the creek. Yes. I could do that quickly and then be back up the hill on my property. Because my pond flows across some woods and it flows into a creek. And there's a bridge over there and there's a bridge about a mile down the road that way. So yes, if anyone shows up here, I think I will run into the barn, I will steal their car, and then I will put it in the creek. And laugh. Well, no, YTS, this is gold. For me, someone trying to come and kill me would be fun. But yes, because once again, they would have to go to their insurance agency and try to explain on how their car ended up in a creek. And after it's in the car, it's going to be a total loss. What are they going to do? Say, I showed up at Roger Brown's to attack him, and he took my car and he put it in a creek? No, they're not going to say that because they would get in much more trouble than Roger Brown putting the car in the creek. Now, once again, after I put the car in the creek, they'd still end up having to face me because, for one, they have no car. And they're stuck on this terrain with me. Now, when I had seizures and was starving, I hunted these fields. I know every hill, every tree, and every rock. So if I get rid of their vehicle, that puts them trapped here with me. A professional hunter. So, yeah. I gotta say it'd have to suck to be them. So yes, where at first I was thinking that would be the one, exit I wouldn't use. Thinking about it, that one would probably be the most fun. I probably shouldn't have said that, about the rope. Because now that I've thought about that, I want to do it. Now see, this is another, remember where I said I'm psychologically unique? I mean, well, this is where the funny things is. Anyone says they're going to hurt my kitties. My ex-girlfriend, Summer would not get 20 yards, 60 feet. My last girlfriend, I wanted Summer and her to love each other. Summer would not get within 60 feet, 20 yards. No. And I should have listened to Summer because Summer knew best. But where I hold this baby right here, she's wild as fuck. There's only a couple of them here that are not wild. And if anyone was dangerous to Tiger, he would be dangerous to them. But being the alpha, he's the greeter. Oh, Lisa, around here. Now, the interesting thing, Lisa, the one that's a little further down here, it's most of the time a dry creek bed. It's kind of like a concrete box, but all made out of rock. Because the whole creek bed is on a flat rock plain, because that's a lot of times where I'll go looking for stuff. Because stuff will wash down river, and in that section, because it has no dirt, no nothing, it's easy to find good things. So, that's why I have to laugh. I mean, the amount of fuckery that I'm capable of is amazing. And they want to incite me. And I'm straight up, after what Jimbo did, trying to come after me with a gun, I'm going to hit him. As soon as I see Jimbo, I'm going to come at him like a lightning bolt and tell him to pull that goddamn gun. And I'm going to go right upside his head because he thought he was going to scare me with that. No. All that guaranteed was exactly what will happen. And Jimbo caused that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be like that. I would be very diplomatic. I can be a nice guy. But at the point you do that, because you tried to threaten me with a gun. Now, where I grew up in Cincinnati on Vine Street, there's a rule. You never turn your back to a gun. Ever. And since that is a rule, you go through the guy with the gun. And so, once again, because Jimbo has threatened me with a gun, I would never turn my back to Jimbo. So if I see him, I have to see. Now, once again, this is how it was with gang members. When you saw the other side, you didn't turn your back to them. You went right through them. The first thing I do is reach right back there and draw. No playing. It wouldn't matter if it's broad goddamn fucking daylight. It wouldn't matter if there's a Cincinnati cop coming right down the fucking road. If I am face to face with the enemy, the weapon is coming out. Hello, Chai. Well, yeah, Nicolina. Now, once again, I grew up on Vine Street in Cincinnati. I've had people pull guns on me. And it is fun. Scary, but fun. Now, I can make it a whole lot more scary. Because as I said, there is a standard operating procedure. if there's two guys and one of them pulls a gun on you, you grab that gun and you keep that barrel pointed at his friend. This is self-defense one-on-one. If you're being attacked by two bad guys and you're struggling with one for the gun, you keep that gun pointed at his friend. Because if the gun goes off, he just shot his friend. And if anyone pulls a gun on me and there's more than one, I make sure that that barrel is pointed at the other guy. And had Jimbo pulled a gun on me, that's what would have happened. I would have grabbed the barrel and I would have pointed it at his compatriot. Now, one of the times that I did this, this was an asshole and we were having a hard time struggling, and I was pulling my finger over that trigger. Yes. And you should have seen the horrible look on his face when he realized that while we're struggling with that gun like this, that I'm slipping this finger over his, trying to initiate the trigger. Now, he took his thumb and hit the safety on. And at that point, I levered it out of his hand. And then I backhanded him with it. And then I pistol whipped him with it. And his buddy sat there and watched. Because for one, he was scared to death. Because for the majority of that fight, he had a loaded gun pointed at his head. And yes, I did try to slip my finger over that trigger and initiate it, because his fingerprints were all over the gun and not mine. So, once again, he put that gun on the field. And there's a rule on the streets. If you put a weapon on a field, then it's fair game. Hello, Stacy. But this is what you do. If anyone's pointing a gun at you and there's more than one, you grab a hold of that gun and you make sure that it's pointed at his accomplice. Now, I smile and laugh right now because the look on that guy's face was fucking priceless. Deer in the headlights. Terrified beyond imagination. If I had to say, what did his face look like? I would say, he was terrified beyond human imagination. He had good reason too. Because, as I said, I was trying to slip my finger over his and initiate the trigger. And because of that, I won. Because as I said, he got so scared, he took his thumb, hit the safety, and that gave me enough grip to get it out of his hand. So, once again, if you're in that situation, that is what you do. Because if that gun was to go off, you're just taking out his accomplice. And his fingerprints are all over the weapon. Now, had Jimbo ever pulled a gun on me, that is what would happen. Is I would make sure that it was pointed at whoever he brought with him. Now, when he came after me, it turns out it was his teenage son. Like I said, he thinks I'm some punk or something. I grew up in a hard place and lived a hard life. My parents were not a fountain of love. When I was 6 years old, when I was 6 years old, my father's favorite words was, "You're a worthless sack of shit." Yes, that was what thing that was commonly said to me at 6 years old. Now, at 6 years old, I also looked at him and said, "Fuck you." Now, that was in my head at 6 years old. Now, this is a warm feeling. Now, my mother, when you're a little kid, you don't remember everything that you did, but other people tell you. Now, about when I was 3, my mom said I was in the floor. And she said, "Daddy's going to be home soon." And she said, I looked right up at her and I went, "That fucker?" So yes, at 3 years old, when Mommy said Daddy's going to be home soon. I looked up at her and said, that fucker. So apparently I was a very perceptive 3-year-old. Now, does anyone have any questions? Actually, Dak, you can come here too and get your ass whipped if you want. I mean, this is the year where people can get their ass whipped. Because if anyone wants to schedule, not just proclaim, schedule a one-on-one with me in Mount Vernon, Kentucky, at the park, under the cameras, it can be done. Real easy. Because I'm in better shape than all of you. And I'm a professional fighter. I'm a professional thug fighter. I am a brawler. You know, that is my typical technique. Now, once again, you remember that I told you about Paul. And sometimes that Paul logic was good logic. Now, Paul, he was a martial artist. Now, this was an interesting thing with Paul. He was about to get his black belt and he quit. And I'm like, Paul, go get your black belt. And he's like, no. And I went, Paul, go get your black belt. And this was an argument. And Paul would say no. You know, this went on for weeks. And finally, I decided to ask, why? And he said, because it was too easy. He said, getting up to being a black belt was just absolutely, positively too easy. And that's Paul logic. Now, you see, Roger would have saw it as an asset. So even if I was going to quit, I would have went ahead and got the black belt. You know, because that's Roger logic. But Paul, he didn't get his black belt because he felt it would be too easy. Now, Dak, also there's a nice young lady that I get to use her shower whenever I want. By the way. And a very nice young lady who has recently had a breakup. And she lives right down the road. And I can go down there and use her bathroom whenever I feel like it. Just saying. And I'm going to say no more about her because of the way that YouTube is. Now, once again, I would feel it would be funny if someone tried to interact with a McCoy because it would just end up bad for them. And I do say John motherfucking York's full name because he gets mad if you don't. I mean, he really does. He considers it his title. And you have to put the motherfucking in. I mean, he insists on it. Not kidding. He will actually get offended if you do not put motherfucking as if it is a part of his given name. Hello, Cass. But yes, does anyone have any questions that other than Dank, since he does not know how to speak properly? Oh, Dank, there you go again. Well, actually, Dank, I'm almost 55. And as you can see, I look like I might be 40. Because I always have stayed. Now, fortunately for me, growing up, I looked like 26 at 16. And I stayed looking 26 until I was about 40. I mean, I used to go and pissed off in Walmart. You know, I buy a movie. I gotta see your ID. I'm 38 fucking years old. I've not been 18 for 2 decades. And at Walmart, yeah, I'm serious, before I was 40, they would make me show my ID to buy the fucking movie. Well, the thing is that, well, yes, good old Bubba. I am still trying to get a scooter. And with the weather and everything, I've just not gone and talked to the person about it. Well, this is where I think it's funny. I mean, what Rap don't understand, Milton is a coward. See, Rap doesn't do research. He just runs his dick sucker. That's all he does. Because he's weak and worthless. Milton's a fucking coward. Milton told stories of, in school, he would try to attack the other kids in front of the teacher. So the teacher would hold him back. And then, when the teacher was holding him back, he would do the finger spell thing at them. And Milton was laughing about it. And saying, I knew it. And Milton even admitted he did it right then because there was a teacher there to get in between. Now, this happened in California. Milton grabbed a bat and was going after a black guy with it, who was at his car doing nothing, innocent as can be, living his best life. Milton gets out of his vehicle, the other guy is at his vehicle, and Milton starts to come at him with a bat. That guy opens the door, grabs a big kitchen blade, and Milton backed off. And when Milton got back in the car, that pussy, why didn't someone get in between us? Milton was upset that he went with a bat to attack a black man who was unarmed. The black man armed himself in self-defense against Milton, and then Milton backed off and then got upset because no one got in between the two of them. So yeah. And once again, after Milton backed off, the guy opened his car door, put the knife in, got in his car, and left. Milton went to assault an innocent man over his racial hate. And when that man brandished a weapon lawfully to defend himself, Milton was then upset that no one got in between the two of them because Milton could have got hurt. Now, this shows you that Milton is a classic narcissist. Because once again, he thought him and his person was of value above everything. Now, Milton's lucky that I was not the nice black man. Because I would have put the blade in Milton's belly. Just saying. Yes, I would have. I mean, excuse me, chill, honey. Excuse me, baby. I got my kitties right up in my way, and while I'm sitting here this whole time trying not to knock her off. So like I say, Richella's either got a food baby or a real baby. And she just ate, so I'm hoping she's got a food baby. Aren't you, honey? I'm hoping that's a food baby. And not a real baby. But yes, this is Milton. Now, this is who Rap thinks is going to come and be my assassin or scare me. Now, you see, he's a pussy, and this is what he thinks. He thinks Roger will be scared. No. Roger will just make a contingency plan to get into your life. Like I said, Smoky Mountain Mama. He's trying to do this. And once again, all I got to do is tell these horrible people that you got all that cash money sitting in your house from all those islands. And then I can show, oh look, he gets he puts like 7 people on these islands here and there, and he gets at least 500 each. I mean, I can vector evil in your if I wanted to. And no one would ever be able to prove I did it. And that's why I can say this. Because there are a lot of things that I could do evil with absolutely positively nothing tied to me whatsoever. And your 29-year-old dick is trying to have me. And in Ohio, if anyone was a threat to my life, they are no longer on my planet. We will put it this way. The first half of my life, anyone that was a threat to my life is no longer on my planet. Now, given that track record, this little punk wants to be a threat to my life, and he's living in your house. So once again, if there's anything that's brought to my doorstep, you wouldn't even like the result. Because I'm not going to go to the police. I'm going to go down the street and go to the Iron Horseman. And there's nothing you can do about it. Yes, your boyfriend is trying to incite violence and murder upon me. And the moment anything happens here, I can't say who did it, but one thing's for sure, everyone that has threatened me is going to be fucked, because I'm going to go down to the street and I'm going to make that deal with the Iron Horseman. You like my property? We can work on that. I have no heir. You know, there's a distant cousin that would love me to die because the court would probably hand this place to him. A far distant cousin. Now, I don't want that to happen, so I am going to leave this place to someone just to fuck my distant family members. Actually, I don't care where Melton is in reality. Because, like I said, Melton's a coward. Melton's never showing up here. Ever. He never was. He runs his mouth. He runs his dick sucker. Now, the thing is when you play a card, you need to win that. You know, you need to win that trick. Now, unfortunately, your boy, Smoky Mountain Mama, has played that card. And I win this one, and I'm pulling it back to my hand because he tipped his hand. And I am promising you that if anyone shows up here to harm me, well, it's going to be really bad for the little boy and anyone that happens to be living with him. Yep. Because there are people that would truly, truly take that into offense. Now, the Iron Horsemen are not also my only assets. There's those lunatic McCoys up there, and there's also those two psychopaths that I mentioned about, and there is an infinite amount of meth heads. I mean, literally an infinite amount, and many of them could be employed for very little. Well, no, YouTube schizophrenic. He would drive by it. That's all Melton would do. He would drive by someplace, take a picture, and say, "Ooh, I scared you." Now, you know, you've not seen this because I can't show it on YouTube, but when I throw my tomahawks. I broke my tomahawk this week. And I mean literally, I broke my tomahawk. I was throwing at my target, and the wood handle, it hit the target, but I threw it so fucking hard, it shattered the top of the fucking handle. So, I am going to have to carve a new handle for my tomahawk. Now, Roger thought about that. Or Roger thought about something really cool. What if I make a bracket on my arm and I mount the tomahawk blade? Because see, I have another tomahawk blade. So what I was thinking about is making a bracket for both of my arms on a glove and attaching the tomahawk heads right here and here. So that means if I backhand someone like that, I've literally got an axe on my hand because the tomahawk heads come out to here, about so. So yeah, I was thinking with my engineering skills of being able to mount tomahawks onto my arms. Because you see, at 18-year-old rap, my first job was a fabricator. And it's not making up lies. It was metal work and fabrication. We made lighting. My first job, factory job, I was making the housings for lighting systems. Now, what they would do is they would give me metal every day in a machine and say, we need this to be like this. And I would take like a press or whatever it is, or something to shape the metal into what they wanted to. Now, this is how I can easily make these brackets, because at 18 years old, I used to do this kind of shit. Fabricate things, housings. So I could make a housing for my arm, and I could easily mount axe blades on both hands. So, that's one of the interesting things that I'm thinking about. Do I actually carve new axe heads, or do I make the bracket to where I can mount the axes on my hand? Now, I might be doing that because I've come up with another wonderful idea. This is why I already had the idea about the bracket, because I have a spiked steel ball that I can throw. Now, if I put that on a chain and on that bracket on my arm, I can throw that like fucking Thor does his hammer, because I could throw it and then yank it back to my hand. Now, it will require a glove on this hand. But if I put a bracket on this arm, a bracket on that arm, and two gloves, I can have tomahawks on either handle, and I can take that steel ball and probably for about 8 feet, throw it like Thor does his hammer, where I could throw it, pull it back, and catch it. And I could also swing it around like this, like an actual mace. Because I have engineering skills. I mean, I can do all sorts of wicked cool shit that you don't see on YouTube. That's where I think that, people, you're stupid or this or that. I laugh. I mean, I'm a fucking genius. I don't say it on YouTube because it bends people's shit out of shape. But yes, I am a fucking genius. And I generally talk down because, well, when I say talk down, I talk at an average linguistic level because that way it's more comfortable for everyone. Now, once again, I can raise my linguistic level to where I will talk absolutely, positively professional on whatever subject that I'm speaking on. But once again, there is little fun in that. Now, once again, Smoky Mountain Mama, this is the person that your little prick wishes to incite. Now, type a 1 in the chat if you want to hear about the last time that I actually tried to kill someone. Now, when I say actually, I actually mean it. But when I say actually, that usually means listen good. But yes, if you want to hear about my last horrible assault, type a 1 in the chat. Now, for the example, I really was trying to off this guy. Just yeah. Now, now I will explain the entire situation. I had already moved down here. I lived here for, well, no shit, Dad was dead. Yeah, Dad was dead by then. So this is a little bit later than I thought. So this probably would have been about 2003. So this has been, well, 20 years ago. Yes, 20 years ago, probably Memorial Day, thinking about it. Or right around it, because I remember it being around the holiday. So it's probably either Memorial Day or July 4th. Those are the only two holidays. It was a beautiful day. Now, used to be, before I was a caregiver, I went to Cincinnati twice a month. Every month, I went to Cincinnati twice a month. I went to our club. Now, our clubhouse is destroyed now, but it was up a road called Mount Hope. And because it's destroyed, I can say all this now. So it used to be when I went up to get my drugs, I rode up a road called Mount Hope. So every time, you went to score, you were turning up Mount Hope. And at the top of Mount Hope was the clubhouse. But you see, the land did this. Literally. The road was called Mount Hope, and it sloped like this. No shit, then up to another street level, and the clubhouse was up there. Now, because of that terrain difference towards the river, the deck to the club was really a 5-story house. It was really a 4-story house, but the 5th story would have been the attic, and it was used as a bedroom too. Now, on story 4, there was a big giant deck sitting out there on giant poles. I mean, it was over 40 feet high in the air. And I went there to do typical business. Now, my best friend was the big guy there. He was the one that sold the majority of all of the drugs. And I could get anything in the universe that I wanted fronted to me on my word. Now, I normally didn't, because I didn't need to. I had money. So I was up there to make my large buy of marijuana. And I go up to the deck. And my buddy, he was an ultimate sports fan. He had season tickets for the Reds, and he had season tickets for the Bengals. And he was at the Reds game still when I got there. So he hadn't got there yet. And there's a guy on the deck waiting too. He's new. He has never seen me before. Everyone knows who I am down there. Extremely. But this guy was new. And I had been moved away then for years. So he comes up to me, and it turns out that he was a narcissistic psychopath. And he starts on this shit of, I'm an important guy. You had better listen to me. And I'm thinking, oh, really? And I mentioned, that's how he introduces himself, by the way. And I say nothing. Because I'm like, this guy's awful full of himself. And I didn't say a word. In fact, I never spoke to him. And for 45 minutes, he told me about how important he was. And how things would be changing. And that we all should listen to him. And I'm sitting here thinking, you're going to get us all put in jail. Yep. So once again, I sit there and listen to him. And about 40 minutes into this, because we talked about 45 minutes, or he talked at me for about 45 minutes, but it was funny dealing with this narcissist, because he was trying to get a response out of me, and all he got was this. That's how I looked at him for 45 minutes. Just like that. Not saying a word. And him trying to convince me of his grandeur. I mean, he didn't even say hi. And that's when I realized he's going to get us all put in jail. He's a narcissist. As soon as he gets in trouble, he's going to turn all of us in. So, once again, this was a big party deck. It even had a jacuzzi off on the side of it. So I kind of positioned myself. But he would position himself, to keep talking to me. So I went to the corner of the deck, and I positioned myself there. Right at the corner. And then he kept on, and for 5 minutes, and then I grabbed him, I spun around, and I hammer threw him off that deck. Now, there's a section of wood area and some trees, and then the concrete. Now, I was trying to have him hit the concrete. I failed in this. Now, looking at it in my head, I was biting off more than I could chew. obviously the distance wasn't far enough to make the concrete. Now, this far of him up did hit the concrete. I mean, I almost did it. But I grabbed him, I spun around, and I hammered through him 40 feet off of that deck. It didn't kill him. Now, I was trying to kill the guy at the time. And now the thing is, I didn't tell my criminal compatriots I did this. Nope. Because I didn't know who brought him to the club. So for friction, I just kept that to myself. An ambulance came and got him and went away. Now, I expected him to expire. But it did turn out that he lived. And about a month and a half later, when I went back up there, in the middle of our weed exchange, I'm like, did you ever see that guy again? Like, no, he never did come back. And yes, that was the last time that I tried to kill a human being. Once again, I wasn't going to go to jail because of some narcissistic Ernie-like creature, so I threw him off a 40-foot tall deck, and he evidently broke a lot of things, but he did not die. And that is the last time that I actually tried to kill someone. Any other of that would have been by accident. That's why I added the actually to there. Because once again, when you're bad guys, accidents happen. Fortunately, no one ever got hurt in the accidents that I'm not mentioning. But I have to laugh because, sometimes even I can be stupid. And they were stupid. And we were all stupid. But after it was done, we said, and we shall never speak of this again. And so this is why I should not speak of the other time. Well, yes, YouTube's schizophrenic. But you see, my friends up there, if we went to jail, we were going to jail forever. We had our own little bar called Good Old Days. D-A-Z-E. And the Cincinnati police were not allowed into it. They were even told by their superiors, you do not go into that bar. Because they would get jumped. And they knew it. So if they wanted any of us, they would have to hide around the bar. And try to catch us when we went out of the bar. That was an interesting thing. But no, the police weren't even allowed. Now, down there, we ran our own streets. Now, we didn't go around and doing evil. We mostly just sold drugs to people. And kept order in our own neighborhood. Ah, shit. We've already hit the time warning on my phone. So this'll... Well, shit, I had more I wanted to talk about. Shit. Remember how I say I do this in segments? I evidently have pondered and lost track of time, and I have screwed my outline up. I want you to know right now, I was supposed to have a whole nother segment because I was going to digress this into talking about rap, but I just hit my power warning. So, because what I try to do is make things understandable and then wrap it up into a point in a presentation. Now, I have fucked up right now, and I have screwed up because I am now not going to have time to do my end presentation. Well, you know what? Hold on, everyone. Yes, I can. Just a moment. I can do this. I can do this. I just have to find the right chords. Bear with me, everyone, for a minute. This is what I do, charging my devices. But yes, I do have the ability to charge this. Now, I might be sideways, but the whole point of what I've been saying right now is not been self-aggrandizement. It's been making a point. I've lived a hard life full of bad, bad men. And I live in a bad place full of bad, bad people in some 29-year-old punk thinks I'm going to be intimidated by police? I mean, every time a cop has gotten and threatened me and said, we will get you, I get nose to nose because they typically get there. I get where we touch noses with them. And I have the same thing I tell them every time. Bring it on, big boy. And I've won every time. Now, I don't go around seeking confrontation. Now, if you would know my full criminal history, you would realize that I don't go around seeking confrontation. Now, when they had me on Xanax, as a teenager, yeah, I sought as much confrontation as humanly possible. Well, yeah, Mom, because if not, the life is over. Just saying. So I'm either sideways or we're done. And I'm not done because what I have said up to this point isn't the important part of this live. We are getting to the important part. Is Smoky Mountain Mama brought home a problem. And he's going around trying to incite, like I said, I freely admit, I really tried to kill the guy. Now, I can never be held accountable for that, for throwing him off that deck. For one, it was an assault. And the statute of limitations on that assault would have passed about 2010. So I can say that all day. I did it, I did it, I did it, I did it, I did it. Now, once again, I risked a lot doing that. Because I didn't know who in the club he was tied to and what dumbass gave him the clearance to show up at our clubhouse. In reality, that might have even got me killed doing that. But I didn't tell my friends that. Yes, remember the guy that fell off the deck? Oh yeah, I slingshotted him right off. He was going to get us all busted. But like I said, and to this day, I don't know who gave him the green light to come to our club. But he left pretty quick. Now, once again, that could have got me killed. Where most people in this thing, says, that could have got you put in jail. That was the least of what it could. That could have got me killed. That could have got me shot right through the fucking head. In the criminal world, every now and then, I would get a summons to the clubhouse in the middle of the night. And once again, you couldn't really talk on the phone. So it'd be ring, ring, and pick up, and it'd be, get down here now. And you have one word to say at that point. Okay. Click. I wouldn't even say I'm right on my way. For my own safety, I would just say, okay, click, put it on the receiver, put my pants on, put my bandana on, put my leather on, and I would put my K-bar behind my back, and I would have my Tech 9 in my boot. And then I would go down to the clubhouse, and one of two things. Either they're planning to kill me for some imagined reason, or something has happened. Now, every time that I went down there, something had happened. Now, one of them was the refrigerator story. One of the club hijacked an entire load of refrigerators. Well, we kept one for the clubhouse. And then we gave all the other refrigerators out to members of the community. Well, that afternoon, the police had come and knocked on the door for an initial consultation. Asking questions about refrigerators. So, one of these calls, I woke up at 2 a.m. I go down there and we have to move refrigerators. We get the one out of the clubhouse and we go to all of the people in the middle of the night we got the refrigerators from and got them back and hid the refrigerators. So, once again, being criminals, we knew criminal things. So we knew a place where we could hide the refrigerators in a warehouse. So I had them take them to the warehouse, and we moved refrigerators, and we had a joke from then on. Is your refrigerator running? Now, if I hear that joke, yes, those refrigerators were running. Now, in a couple weeks, it all died down, and the refrigerator went back in the clubhouse, and all the old people got their refrigerators back. Now, I was involved in picking them up in the middle of the night, the running part. Now, I was not involved in the giving them back part. But, this is the life that we led. And I have a clean criminal record. Now, given this shows that I am highly intelligent and I'm real good at this crime game. Now, I have retired from the crime game. When I became a caregiver for my mother, I retired. And then after my mother died, because of the way jobs were around here, I had to reboot my criminal career for a while, and then I started having seizures. But I also was doing jobs around here. So half the days down here before I had seizures, I was doing something criminal. And the other half, I was doing legitimate work. And that's what I was doing before I had seizures. And that's how I met John motherfucking York. Now, John motherfucking York is cool to party with, but when you're talking to him, you generally don't get much of a word in edgewise. But like I say, I know all of these colorful people. I've lived a life. I have connections. I mean, before... I'm trying to think about it. I can say now almost all my friends are drug dealers. Now, before I had seizures, all my friends were drug dealers. All of them. Every single one of them was a, quote, business person, as we would have put it. Now, once again, I know all of the bad people. Another interesting thing, when I came down here, work is hard to find, so I did the 2000 census in Rockcastle County. And they made me an assistant supervisor. Because, you take tests and all that, you go through a class, and they picked 2 assistant supervisors, and where I was just, made a job to, pass out census forms, they made me an assistant supervisor. Now, because of dogs, most of our enumerators, that's what the person that delivers your census is called, is an enumerator. And the government just likes to call them that. Just saying. Rather than census worker. Now, they had to go to every place in the county. Now, every time they ran across a pack of dogs, they filed something called an infocom, informing you of a situation, supervision about a situation. And I'd get a stack of these every day. And this is what I did. I troubleshooted all of the problems. And most of the time, the problem was large packs of dogs. Like Jimbos. Now, every place that has these large packs of dogs like that were drug dealers. Now, one of the reasons why the government picks local people for the census people is because they can blend in. So, what I would do when I would do this is I'd put on my Metallica shirt. I'd put my killer weed that I got from Cincinnati in my pocket, in my pipe, and I would go to all these places. And like I say, at that point, I got to meet every drug dealer in Rockcastle County in the year 2000 because I delivered their census. And I'm a cool guy. And I'd sit down with them and smoke a ball and get to know them. Once again, I do have the gift of being able to interact with people. I mean, it can be very entertaining to have conversations with me. Now, once again, Smoky Mountain Mama, Rap isn't one of these people. He uses women his entire life. And he's using you. And as I stated before, in the first half of my life, anyone that was a threat to me is no longer on my planet. Now, he tried to get Melton to attack me. And I know that Melton will never do it. Because Melton ain't got the guts. Because for one, it would get Melton killed. Now, Smoky Mountain Mama, you can tell Kentucky. You can, she's got a wrench right there in your room. I mean, you own Rap, so, it is your room. You can ask Kentucky. She's got the whole layout of the place. And she can tell you that anyone shows up here to attack me is a dead man. I mean, this place is so set up to my strategic advantage. If you had like 3 to 5 people here defending the place, you could defend it against the military. I mean, it's that good. They would have to have artillery and long-distance explosive weapons to get me out of here if I had 3 to 5 men. And at one, I could take out 10 men. But yes, now, once again, I have a rule. When someone in chat hits a bullseye, I stop everything and focus on it. And True Grime Graveyard has hit a bullseye. Mummy issues. His whole life, women have taken care of him. And he has been abusive to them. Well, actually, I don't even think he can do that because anyone that shows up here sometimes, Tiger will spot them. And then he'll get about 20 feet away from them and keep it that. I mean, he's kind of like a pointer. And if I was to throw him on anyone, they would need to be hospitalized. Not kidding. Now, he's pretty old now. So I'd probably throw Magnus. I like Magnus the least anyway. Now, I made stew. I made some excellent stew, by the way, everyone. I ate it for a couple days. And to be honest, that stew, I mean, there's an incredible smell when I fart now. Man, I mean, normally I don't have any flatulence issue, but that stew that I made, it was utterly delicious. And Richella has hardly been sitting on me. Well, I used to work in a perfume factory. My job before I came down here. Now, see, this is important. See, even when I was selling drugs, I had a job. Because I had to cover, at the point where I was making $5,000 every 10 days, I had to have a job. Because, you see, if you're spending money, you're going to go to jail if you don't have a job and it's showing you got a lot of money. You're eventually going to go down. So, if you're doing high level in drug sales, you really have to have a job. And that's what my job at Avon Products was, working on the perfume lines. That was my cover job. Well, I am from Cincinnati, but I'm definitely not a fool. Now, you can show up here in Kentucky, meet me in Mount Vernon, anyone that wants, and I will show you the things that I learned as a thug. I mean, and by the way, Bo Owls, your ass is out of here. By the way, anyone that says shit here, running their mouth, hide them. Because anyone over at Raps from now on, and anyone over at Jimbo's, when they're running their shit about me, you will be blocked here. And last night, before I went to bed, I went down community posts and I went blocking to one end to the other. Now, Asia, you are not blocked. Kentucky, you are not blocked. Now, in a few weeks, if you don't come in here and talk to me, you will be blocked. And then I will never have anything to do with either of you again. And all I have to say is thank you for helping me. And I really do appreciate it. Now, it's funny that you help me and then run to the other side, but I'm sorry if you're stupid. Now, this ties into Smoky Mountain Mama. She is stupid. Now, many women, not a majority, but when I mean many, I mean this is a type of woman. They like men they can manipulate. They like, now, once again, I think that Smoky Mountain Mama, I don't think she liked her soldier boy. I think they fought a lot. And I think she always wants the upper hand. And I think she badgered him to suicide, knowing she would get that money. And once again, she was cheating with this little dick. What's he ever going to do for you? I mean, at 28 years old, I owned 20 acres. I had bought 13 more and was paying on them. I worked 9 months out of the year. Now, at 29 years old, I worked 9 months out of the year. What would happen is hay season would start right around, well, let me see, before that would be spring work. Now, spring work, you would walk all the fences, and you would fix the fences. You know, if there's any, it's like this spring, as soon as the weather dries up, one of my farm chores is I have to walk the fences. And any damage on the fences, that's a part of my spring work. You know, so spring, you walk the fences and you fix your fences. And you get gardens and all that shit ready. And then right around not Labor Day, but Memorial Day, that's when you have your first cutting of hay. And then everyone who cut hay, I would throw their hay. So that's what I would do from Memorial Day to about 3 weeks past Labor Day is hay season. So virtually every bright sunny day, Roger was in a field throwing 75 to 100-pound bales of hay. And I would do that all day. And if I had to, I could still do it. But I don't have to do that anymore. And there's not as many people square bale hay like they used to. Now, when this ended, there was tobacco work. You know, because there was the cutting of tobacco, you know, there was the staking of tobacco, then there was the hanging and stripping of tobacco. And that was the next work. And that would last for quite some time. And you finally got done stripping the tobacco sometime around the 3rd week of January. And then I had February, March, April off. So, you know, like I said, I work for 9 months a year doing farm work when I'm here. I did hay and I worked in tobacco and I did odd task jobs as needed. And then if it was a rainy day, I had that day off. And typically everything here was closed Sunday, so I had every Sunday off. Unless it was my clan doing hay. In my family at that time, we had 5 farms. That's where I laugh, where it's like, your parents left you. No, my parents didn't leave me this farm. I bought it in 1996. All of the farms that were the family farms, I didn't get left any of it. But at the time, I was working on 5 farms. So it's like I had 5 sets of fence rows to walk, and I had 5 sets of fences. So in the spring, I had hundreds of acres of fences to fix before it would get to hay season. And this is what I did at Rap's age. And I was paying on a bank loan. And I was my own boss, my own employer. And I worked. unlike Rap, who just scams on the internet. Now, once again, he has tried to incite someone to come and cause me violence. Now, if he did that, it would be fair if I did the same. Do you understand me, Smoky Mountain Mama? Your little dick has tried to incite a man to come and harm me. So, in fairness, if I did the same, it would not be morally objectable. You see, this is why I was getting to this whole point. You know, why I said the words that I have all up to here. Now, where Melton is a coward, he just tried to get Melton the coward to come and kill me. Now, I have shown that if I intend on doing evil, I am extremely successful at this, as I have no criminal record and have freely admitted on throwing that guy off the deck with the pure intent of taking him out. Now, once again, when I did that, that could have got me shot and dumped in the river. In the river, I mean, it would have just took 5 minutes to take my body to the river from the clubhouse. You just go down Mount Hope, across River Road, across a little tiny fence, a couple train tracks, you know, about 20, 30 yards of gravel, and you're right at the river. Swoosh. I mean, and I was willing to take that risk because I saw this guy as an unacceptable risk to our business, and I did not want to go to jail forever. Because at that clubhouse, if we had all got busted, we were all going to jail forever. And ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So, I am not threatening you, Smoky Mountain Mama. I am just stating that it would be fair if I found a psycho and tried to hand them Rap's address. Of course, I'd have to get it from Nicolina. But at this point, I am going to insist on having the address. I decided that before I started this live, that I am going to insist on having your address now. Because if anything happens here, well, just saying. But as I said, Rap has already tried to solicit a disturbed man to come and harm me. So, why don't I do the same? Why don't I find a disturbed man and try to... We got kitty fight. Was you going to attack your mommy? You're chasing your mommy? She's... Rachella hopped up. She's following her mother. I don't know why, but she's decided to follow her mother like she's a kitten. Oh, the funny thing is they always say shit, or like, Jimbo said, Roger admitted he did blah, blah. No, I didn't. I said, if I had. Those words mean something. If I had, you know, it seems like Rap just got a wellness check on him. Now, once again, Smoky Mountain Mama. He's tried last night. I have the receipt of him trying to get a psychopath to come and harm me. So, all I got to say is, you better lock your doors, you better get a gun, and you better watch out. You better not pout, I'm telling you why, 'cause psychopaths are coming to town. They know when you are sleeping, they know it you're awake. They don't care 'cause they are bad as shit, and they're as fucking shit. So, once again, you better not shout, you better not cry, and I'm telling you why, because if I have any problem, there will be a psychopath coming to town. Now, I can sing better than that, but I intentionally sung it like that. Because, yes, I mean, now, once again, I'm not saying I'm doing anything, but it would be eminently fair right now if I find my own psychopath and gaslight them and then hand them an address. Yep. So once again, if I see him gaslighting anyone to come harm me or any of you YouTubers, I will get one of these actual dangerous people and I will gaslight them. And I am betting that I am far better at this than you are, as I have did this a half of lifetime ago. Because if something was too close to me to where, I just couldn't mount up and take it out myself, well, I made sure that something else did my dirty work for me. Usually a pawn. Because my criminal compatriots, they were assets. But when you're at that high-level drug dealer, there's always disposable people sitting around. And if I ever see this again, I will return the favor. Rap is about to get your home an issue. He thinks he's going to scare me, and there's nothing anyone can do about anything that I've said in this video. I'm not stupid. As I said, I'm not threatening anything. I am pointing out that things do come around. You'll get your karma. Now, once again, I am karma. Many people in the universe don't realize this. But yes, I am karma. And I don't have to say, I did it. No, I don't. Matter of fact, I just got to sit here and smile. But he is about to cause problems in your house. Yep. When I was in Cincinnati, I wouldn't think, if you were into me for a bunch of money and dodging me, I would cut your brake lines. I did that a lot. And then after having to do that several times, I stopped fronting out everything and everything became cash on hand or we don't do business. Because I got tired of that bullshit. And then, of course, after they owed me, I'd come back to them in about a week after I cut their brake lines. And say, I heard about your car problems. You better pay me. Yes. Or you're going to have a lot more car problems. But I always have got my money. Throughout my criminal career, I always did get my money. Now, of course, many times to get my money, it required violence and intimidation. I'm really good at this. Now, I don't go around doing this in my life. But that half a lifetime ago, when I was in big-time criminal activity, oh yeah, I would be more than happy to intimidate someone into doing my bidding. Oh, did I miss one? Well, the thing is and I will admit, it was wrong. And I don't go around and doing that now. Honestly. I don't go around and do that kind of stuff now. I don't. But he has repeatedly now tried this. So this Smoky Mountain Mama is your one warning. I ever see this in any way again, I cannot promise that, I won't go around running my mouth about things that you don't have at your house. All the large amounts of money that you have in your house. All that gold jewelry. Yep. Well, Green Lives Matter, evidently I intimidate you enough that you don't put out your real name. Yep. But like I said, I'm a big tit-for-tat kind of guy. Now, he's stupid. And I give stupid one warning. I've always gave stupid one warning. And Smoky Mountain Mama, you're stupid. And this is your one warning. He tries to have anyone come and harm me again. Well, I can play at that game too. Now, of course, where he's trying to get Melton to physically, all I'm going to do is make up that large amount of money and all that nice jewelry that you've got. Yep. And once again, I'll show them a rap in his islands. Oh yeah, he does this all the time. Oh yeah, he'll just like start picking people and putting them on islands. And I mean, he'll get thousands of dollars every time he live streams. And then I can selectively show them the live streams. Yep. Oh yeah, he does this all the time. Yeah, and you know what? You know, I heard he's got at least 100K sitting around in cash from this shit. I mean, yep. Because, I mean, it's only 2 people on the island to get 1K. And he's put hundreds on the islands. Now, you're seeing what I would tell someone. And once again, a greedy, stupid criminal will bite on that. Yep. And then they would get friends. And then they would go after the loot. Now you see, typically in Cincinnati, what I would do is I would give them a few small scores. Whet their appetite. For believability. You know, I would set them up with a few small scores for themselves. Thank you, Richella. And then I would tell them about the big one. Because by then I've whetted their appetite. I got their greed going. I've got my credibility. They've had an appetite and then they want more. And then you send them to the target's house. Which of course is complete bullshit. But because they think there's a large amount of money, they destroy everything. Yes, because they're looking at they know that there's the money there because Roger wouldn't lie. And Roger led him to treasure 3 times before. See, that's the formula. You lead them to treasure thrice. And then the 4th time, you send them after the person that's too close to you to go after. And that is a part of my criminal career. And this is many times on how I handle problems that are too close to me once upon a time in my criminal career. Now, I have admitted before, I'm a bastard. Well, I actually wish I was a bastard because I hated my father and all, just saying. But I did learn some things from my father. And one of them is how to do business. Now, my father was a union thug. So I did get to watch my father as a young child intimidate important people. And he was really good at it. And that's where I learned. Now, it's funny. You know, my family were political criminals. But they weren't criminals outside of politics. Now, I was never a political criminal. But I got to watch growing up on how intimidation is done. And I mean, like, God, they're really good at it. Well, yes, Lisa. I mean, there are so much stuff that I can just show on his channel on YouTube to other people that, yeah, it wouldn't be no problem to set you fucking up for a robbery. And I can say it here, and still not a goddamn thing would be tied to me if it happens. Because robberies happen, and I'm never leaving Kentucky. So, there you go. Yes, Lisa. Now, I have those videos already clicked. Work smart, not hard. You know, this is the warning phase of our program. Yes, because once again, I like to inform stupid animals of their mistake and give them a chance to do right. Now, this little prick could cause you serious issues because, as I mentioned, this is what I used to do at the first half of my life. Now, after the way that one therapist did me, I've been thinking about it. You know, the last few years, I've been mulling about it. I'm like, should I have her house robbed? Now I haven't, and I won't. I do not think I will. I'm going to let that go. I'm going to be the bigger person. You know, about the therapist thing that screwed me to no end. She had another man listening to our conversation, violating, the sanctity of therapist and patient. I didn't tell YouTube about that. But when I've mentioned before that, at some point I might sue a therapist, that's actually what it would be over. Because I was on a session with her on the phone, and there were other people on that line listening. So I have thought about it, the last few years. I have thought about gaslighting some people up and sending them her way. Now, I'm not going to do that. I decided not to. Now, once again, I can do that. No problem. I just got to give them 3 petty scores and your address. And once again, you're within a couple hours of them. In a big score, I'm sure that thieves would be willing to travel. Well, probably Amber. Now, this is the important thing. This is why this is a message to her. Because she has kids in her house, and she is having someone that could endanger her. Because as I said, any threat to my life will fall off of my planet. And I will say that in court. I will say that to a cop. I will say that to a judge. Anything that is a threat to my life will fall off my planet. Because, see, I have the right to self-defense. That is a human right. Now, that's why I could say this in court in front of a judge, because all I have to say is, Judge, I have the right to self-defense. Anything that's a threat to my life will fall off my planet. Your Honor, there's nothing illegal about saying that. Because that's admitting I am willing to defend myself with lethal force. I am allowed legally to defend myself with lethal force. And we'll just put it at that. Well, yes, YouTube schizophrenic. Now, this was at Adanta. And this is why I will not have therapy anymore. After that last attempt at a therapist, I will not deal with it. Only one therapist I ever had was worth being my therapist. All the rest were just check collectors. Now, once again, this is something in my life that I wasn't going to even mention to YouTube. But, I wanted to tell you why I thought about having that therapist's house robbed. Because that's normally not me. Now, I was very offended by what she did, so I considered it. Now, I'm not going to, but I considered it. But you see, she's not a threat to my life. That was a slight. And this is why I will not do anything to that woman in any way, shape, or form. Now, once again, rap is trying to have a threat to my life. And as I freely admitted, anything that's a threat to my life, I will take out. Promise you that. Now, once again, I've always lived alone. And I do for a reason. Because then no one that I'm with can be harmed by anyone that comes to attack me. Because, a lot of the things that I did at the first half of my life, if I was the other guy's family, I'd probably kill me. Now, when I started YouTube, this was for 2 weeks. Hey, stop it! Kitties are having sex in the kitchen. We don't need none of that here. What is it, honey? Okay. One of them tried to jump on Summer. Summer's not in heat. Summer just let out a screech and whacked him. Because I knew it was one of the wildcats. But it was Summer he was trying to jump. And she's back in here. It's spring in Kentucky. Summer's in the house, Rachella's in the house, and apparently Celeborn is in the house. You okay, Sammy? Was he trying to be a masher? But I mean, Smoky Mountain Mama, I mean, you have got a problem in your life. Now, I typically know that most women can replace dicks pretty easy. Now, as I mentioned, this has been one warning. Because if he ever does anything like that again, I can't promise that I wouldn't do something like that. Send some thieves on a trip for a few surefire scores. And then I can lie. Because as I said, I used to do this in Cincinnati. And sometimes I even felt bad about it. Sometimes. Now, once again, I'm not saying I'm doing anything because this is your warning. I mean, your best bet is to find you another dick. There's plenty of them out there. Now, this one, he seems to have an issue. When women break up with him, he starts a swinging. Now, he has tried to swing at 2 different women. Smoky Mountain Mama. What makes you any different? What makes you so special that when you do get sick of him, that he's not going to slap you around? Because that's what he does. Now, once again, I don't care if he slaps you around. Honestly, it's no skin off my ass if he slaps you around. In 2 to 3 years after he's dumped and you're over here in the communities crying, "Rat beat me, rat beat me, rat beat me," I'm going to laugh. Now, once again, this is a message to you. You could get rid of him right now. And I would understand that people could have mistakes in life. But we all know what's going to happen. At some point, you're going to find another guy. And you're going to think, hey, he's just the cutest. And you're going to want to replace Rap. And then Rap will treat you just like the other ex-girlfriends. Good luck with that. Now, he sees you as money right now. And he's going to try to knock you up, you stupid cunt. By the way, have you wanting to fuck you a lot? Because he's trying to knock you up. Because that's what Rap does. He makes security babies. So he can keep the woman. And that's what he's done in each of these relationships. Is create security babies. To try to tie the woman to him. And you're next, by the way. Now, once again, many people become killers when they're in their 30s. He's about to turn 30, isn't he? Yes. So, many times they start off with violence, minor violence against women, before they finally kill one. And they usually do it when they think that they've lost their cherry. And once again, as we've seen on direct messages, when he met you, he thought he scored. Now, my last girlfriend, I didn't talk like that about her. I didn't treat her like she was a trophy. In reality, she treated me like I was a trophy. But she did that to her family and everyone in her life. Hello, Raylyn. But yes, Smoky Mountain Mana. Rap is trying to threaten the life of a professional killer who's never been held account for shit. Now, I've never killed anyone in the state of Kentucky. I can say that. And that's another reason why I can say that the statute of limitations on all my crimes are cleared in the state of Kentucky. Well, Night Out, Rap went into Milton John's chat, trying to get Milton to do violence to me. Yes, Rap went in to Milton's chat trying to get Milton to come here to harm me. And I'm explaining that this goes two ways. That I could easily gaslight someone into going to her house. Because, once again, Rap is trying to have Milton kill me. So, why wouldn't I do the same? Now, as I said before Night Owl got in here, you know, Milton's a coward. Milton would never do it. And he tried to make that happen. Now, I know bad men. And the difference between me and him is I could get it to happen with absolutely nothing tied to me. Because there's been many times in Cincinnati that the police or the FBI tried to bust me. I know I have an FBI file, and I can even tell you a lot of what it says in it. And it'll be known associate of. You know, that is exactly what they would have me on the FBI. Known associate of. And there'd be a list of names about that long of criminals and criminal organizations that they could have tied me to throughout my criminal career. But you know what? They could prove nothing. Ever. Well, yes, Night Owl. But once again, if Rap is trying to have people come and harm me, wouldn't someone do that back to Rap? And Smoky Mountain Mama, he's living in your house, eating your food. You got children. And he's trying to hurt you. Yes, I mean, really. One way or another. You know, this is the equivalent of someone with a loaded gun waving it around the room. So I want you to look at this. With what Rap is doing, he is taking a loaded gun with the safety off, and he is waving it around in a room with you and your children. Because as I stated, and I will state in court, that anything that is a threat to my life, I will remove from my planet. Because I do have the right to self-defense. And that's all I will say. But yes, and I have admitted that in my past, when I was in my young 20s, I did send thieves to people's houses to get even with them. And I would give the thieves a few easy, cheap scores, and then I'd give them the big one. And it would all be a lie. Because they would be there looking for a large amount of money, and they would destroy the place. Absolutely, positively destroy the place. And they'd be really mad that they didn't find any money. And you know what it does? It makes them destroy the place more. And then, if they come back and tell me that they must have moved it. But because I give them 3 easy scores starting off, they believe it. So there you go, Smoky Mountain Mama. This is the situation that Rap has put you into. And I have to laugh because this could be done and nothing could ever be tied to me. Ever. Even saying this. Because you would have to have an evidentiary link between me and the crime other than, well, I just say, I was just talking shit on the internet just like him. Now, you see, that's a funny troll right there. Because if they question me about it, I will simply look at them and say, I was just trolling. Yes, and that's what I'll do. If you get robbed and they come to my house and question me about it, I would look at them and say, I was just trolling. On the internet, I'm known as the greatest troll of all times. Yes. Because I do like irony and sarcasm. I find that to be quite amusing. Well, Mark, I can be a fiend. Mark Antony Reed, the legend. I mean, I'm more than... Now, typically, it's like my favorite blade here. If I was to put it in someone's belly, there's going to be this much of it coming out their back. I mean, I believe in warrior culture. You see, I'm not a Christian. Nope. Not a Buddhist either. Don't believe in Hinduism either. So, when you try to say Christian, you try to get Christian morals onto me, I'm like, who cares? Or any of the other karma. You'll get karma. There's no such thing. Just say it. So yes, I am a pagan. Once again, we don't talk about much on you. Now, I believe in warrior culture. Now, if that's why I said anyone that wants to get their ass whipped in Mount Vernon, we can have straight up combat. Now, also, if anyone wanted combat with blades, I'm good with it. Now, most of these cowards just want fist fights, but, if Roger really wants to fight, I'm more than happy to fight with knives. Now, one of the things that I used to do to intimidate my evil compatriots, I used to carry 2 big blades. And if we had a severe disagreement, I would throw one at their feet. Now, as a kid, in the 1970s, we used to throw knives at each other's feet and see how close we could get to each other. I know we were children. Children should not be throwing knives at each other, but as children, this is what we would do. Now, because of being a child and throwing knives at each other's feet, I can take a big long knife and just zoom and right next to your foot. And once again, my criminal compatriots, many times, I would take my bigger blade and I would zoom it right down and right next to their feet and tell them to pick it up. And then I'd draw my K-bar. And I would insist they pick it up. In fact, I would browbeat them and publicly humiliate them, screaming at them to pick it up. No one ever picked it up. Now, the reason why no one ever had the guts to pick it up is because I can take a knife by the blade, I can throw it in the air, do triple flips, and I can catch it by that blade every time. And in real life, I do this trick all the time. Hello, old guy. Well, Night Owl, I'm not going to get locked up for stating fact. The fact is, anything that's a threat to my life, I have the right to self-defense. Melton shows up here with a gun, I get to kill Melton. But Melton is not going to show up here with a gun. Because Melton's a coward. Yep. Melton is an absolute coward. And just as I said before, I've had rousing games of get the gun growing up on Vine Street. Because for my first 28 years of life, when I walked out the door every day, I had one main goal: to get back home alive. Because where I used to live, you could just be killed randomly on the street at any time. This is the world I grew up in. I walked out the door every day knowing that there's a chance I won't come back. Now, back then, I would have said a good chance that I won't come back. And it really did amaze me because I did not plan on living past 30. What a bit? Say, what a bit? There. One night, one scar right here. From there to there. That was the knife fight I almost lost. A 1/4 inch deeper, and I would have died. So bring more of your suck accounts in here so I can ban them. Because like I said, the locals are scared of me. Because as I said, I will take that knife, throw it in the air, and every freaking time I will catch it. Now, there's a rare time that I don't, but I know when to let it drop. And then I pull back and do my hands like that, and I let it hit the ground, and I pick it back up. Now, also, if you start to feel the blade when you catch it, you let your hand limp. There is a trick to it. You know, there's a reason why I don't get cut, because if it comes down and I feel the touch of the blade, I let my hand go limp. And I don't get cut. But I do have to laugh about it all because, you know, Melton's a coward. As I stated earlier, Melton tried to attack a black man, and when the black man pulled a knife to defend himself, Melton screamed, "Why didn't someone get in between us?" Melton talked about attacking kids in school, but only when the teacher was there to get in between them. I think you need to pick a better assassin. Yes, you know, see, rap is stupid. I know Melton inside and out. You picked the wrong one. Yep. You should look somewhere else on the internet for a champion. And once I also said, Smokey Mama, he's tried to have me harmed. So, I am a pagan. I'm not a Christian. Do we understand this? So, you're not going to get Christian morals from me. You're going to get tit for tat. So, you know, once again, as long as you allow this person in your house, you're going to have an issue. Because the next time that motherfucker tries to get anyone to, says anything to anyone about me, I mean, you never know what might happen. You never know. But all I know is, you know, when thieves tend to ransack a place looking for a large amount of money that's not there, they do a damn thorough job. Yes. And once again, you know, I have done this when I was in my 20s. Now, I just don't go around doing this. But once again, you know, you and Jimbo are stupid. Rap and Jimbo are just as stupid as can be. And anyone that's over on any of their channels at this point, I don't want here. Now, I'm going to give Kentucky and Asia a couple weeks to change their mind. And then after that, I'm just going to block them, and I'm just going to find another way to the store. Now, I do thank the people on the other side that gave me help. And I'm sorry that you're so stupid to be duped by a 29-year-old woman beater that will beat this one as soon as the breakup happens. You know, this is going to be his whole life, trying to attach to women, to abuse. Because he's too fucking lazy. I mean, he was what? He was a waiter. What did he do? What was it he worked at? What was the place that he worked at? What was it, like an Applebee's or something that Rap worked at? His one job. Now, I would never take any food job. Ever. Nope. I insisted on having manly jobs. Because once again, when the day was over and we all went to get high together, you would talk about your jobs. Now, Troy, you know, he drove a forklift. Paul was a machinist. I was a caster. I mean, those are manly jobs. And then poor old Art, would talk about his food service job. And oh my God, we used to be so mean to him. When you're in the manly group and you're sitting around in the evening getting high talking about the days at work, and everybody's talking about what they did. When you get to the guy that worked to the fast food thing, I mean, it's just humiliating for him. Through Nicolina, I had found out he's had a job, I think, as a waiter at like an Applebee's or something. One of those little wannabe restaurants that charge way too much for little food that really isn't that good. So that's been his only job. Now, at 15, I started working. But now, normally at 15, you can't work, but I was a part of a work-study program, so I could. But I had to work at the high school. And at 15, I started doing a janitor job. And then the next year, they switched me to the grade school from the high school, and I cleaned the grade school. And I did that for some years, kind of 15 to 17. Ew, I just hit on a thought that I might make a video of. Remember how I said I was on Xanax? And I was a psychopath. Now you see, this time that I was doing these jobs lined up when Roger was a drug-induced psychopath. Now, when I was a drug-induced psychopath, those 12-year-old girls still look like little girls to me. And even though I was a psychopath, I never thought of harming any 12-year-old girl at all. And I was in a school surrounded by 12-year-old girls. And all the 12-year-old girls, I mean, every time we talk about Jimbo, they came up to here to me. I mean, when I was 15 and 16 years old, the 12-year-old girls came up to here. That's why I had to sit up. And that was the top of their heads. So, their eye look was at my fucking belly button. And I mean, I was, then that was 17. And literally, their heads came up to here, and their eyes were looking me in the goddamn navel. And this is what Jimbo hooked up with. I mean, there was not a single girl in that school that was 12 years old that even remotely looked like a woman. But yes, his job has been at Applebee's. Now, after I turned 18, I got a job at LSI, Lighting Systems Incorporated. And I became a fabricator there. And I made casings for lighting. And then, halfway through that job, they switched me back to the welding department. And that's where I learned about welding. And my job coming in there as a young man was to clean all the metal. So whenever they welded something, I would take an acid solution and I would clean it all up and I would get it buffed up and I would get it ready to be painted. But like I say, at that job, I learned how to make things, structural things. And then my next job, I was a caster. I worked with molten metal. And this gave me a lot of skills. Between the fabricator job and the casting job, I learned how to do a lot. Now, I can work with molten metal. I've got a here from when I used to work with molten metal. Because you would occasionally get burned. And it sucked. But, these were jobs that I did. Then I had a couple temporary contract jobs through a temp service, and one of them was working at a book depository. Like when you like your kids' books. We did a lot of kids' books. When you had like your kids' book subscriptions, that's what they did. And I was a line supplier. So what I did was grab books, boxes of heavy books all day, and I would take them to lines. And I would cut open the boxes and get them ready so the line workers could, assemble the kids' books. So that's what I did at that job until the termination date, was just lift and open boxes of books all day. Now that was a good exercise. I mean, for a good workout job, that was an excellent one, because I was lifting like 80-pound boxes all day and cutting them open. And then I worked at Avon, and I kept that job for years. And I also, I didn't mention the one I hurt my back at. In Prestige Packing, that's where I hurt my back at. And we packed peanut butter for Procter & Gamble there. And I ran a big long machine with about 40 or 50 people on the line. Now, on that job, I was about 20, 21, and I was a supervisor of my line. I'm 20 and 21, and everyone on that line, most older than me, had to take orders from me. But, once again, I was always this intelligent. I was a good boss. And they loved me. Now, my boss, Judy, they hated. She was a screamer. I mean, every word out of her mouth, ah! I mean, she screamed everything. But I grew up in a house full of screaming, so I could communicate with Judy. And I always just kept my scream 2 levels under her scream. And most people thought we were fighting. We were not fighting. This is just this way this woman communicated. But everyone in the universe was scared of her, except me. But once again, she was entertaining at times, and she was not evil. She was just angry and upset with how her life turned out. That's why Judy screamed a lot. So I could understood her, but, at young ages, I had supervisory type jobs. In my casting job, they decided to bring someone else in that worked there before and make them head of night shift. But I almost became head of night shift casting while I was there. And I was about 19 then. 19 and turning 20. That was right before I changed jobs. Hello, Kim. But the only thing that he's done is a waiter at Applebee's. And that's what he wants to do with his life. Now, you notice he has no male friends. You notice he's got no one to smoke a joint with. He's always dependent on females for everything. Now, I do, in personal interaction, according to my therapist, she said, you respond to women. You do not respond to men. And I didn't quite realize that until she said it, but, when she says stuff like that, I would analyze it. And they're like, well, you know what? She's right. And I never realized that. I just thought I was just being an asshole to men. But I realized it was because I don't connect as much with men as I do with women. Now, once again, I do have smoking joint buddies. And I've got more male smoking joint buddies than female smoking joint buddies. But yes, Kim, he's a mama's boy. But from what we found out, his mother didn't like him because he was a problem. Now, this is another thing, Smoky Mountain Mama, why we're getting to this way. Because his mother even says he was a problem. 2 relationships with children in both domestic violence issues. See, guys, right now, he's going to try to knock Smoky Mountain Mama up. Because this is what rap does. he gets the security baby. And both of these women with their security baby said, fuck this loser, we're out. And then he turned violent on them. This is what he's trying to do right now to Smoky Mountain Mama. Doesn't he want to seem to fuck a lot? I bet he is insisting on coming in you a lot. Just because it feels so good and he loves you so much. And I guarantee that's what he's doing right now. And this is why when my device was running out of power, we continued this line. Because we're reaching the conclusion line. He's wanting to fuck a lot, isn't he? Because you dumbass, he's trying to knock you up for the security baby. Because this is what he did with all the other women. Because he's not going to work. He's never going to work. At this point, at 29 years old, in just an Applebee's reference, he is completely unemployable. And I might do a bit on this because rap at this point is completely unemployable. I took 10 years off to take care of my mother. I became unemployable. And as we seen, that's just why I talked about all of my jobs in the past. Because those are some damn ass good skills, are they not? And because of the length of time in between jobs, they said I was unemployable. I have massive skill sets. You could put me in any factory and I could quickly work my way up to a supervisory position. And no place would give me a job. With all of that work experience and my technical skills. Now, at Raul Partha and Prestige Packing, I both worked on wrapping machines. You know, the machines that shrink wrap stuff? You know, I worked on that on both places. I am completely fluent in that technology. Everything that puts the clear wrap on something, I can do that. And once again, I've worked with molten metal. Any foundry you get me into, I can do that. You get me on any assembly line, I can do that. You know, from the very first day on the very first Avon line, I was better at it than everyone else. All they had to do was show me what I'm supposed to be doing. So as I said, I have skills, employable skills. But because of the length of time I was not employed, nobody would give me a job. And that's what rap is right now. Now, once again, I have a resume. I have usable skills. Now, if we have World War III, they're going to try to call up everyone to help that they can. Now, what they will do with me is they will do one of two. They will either put me in front of a machine or they will make me a supervisor to supervise a group of people over machines. Which is the more likely of two? Now, once again, to supervise, I will have to learn the job myself, just as if I'm doing it inside and out. Because this is how you effectively supervise someone that's working a machine, is you do the same work yourself. But, you know, this is the reality we live in. Now, once again, Smoky Mountain Mama used to be with a military guy. And she dicked him for rap because he's easy to control in her mind. Some women are like that. Some women want soft, easy to manipulate men. Now, it turned out that my last girlfriend was one of these creatures. And that wasn't never going to fly for me because I don't manipulate. I have a plan. I have a course of action, and I go straight forward. And today's is to explain on how stupid you are. And the dangers that rap is trying to bring to your door. I mean, you accused me of stuff. I never had your address. I will have your address before the sun goes down. It is 12:51 p.m. The sun goes down about 6:30, and I guarantee you in the next 5.5 hours, I will have your address after him trying to get Melton to come harm me. I promise you that, Smoky Mountain Mama. Yep. Now, listen to this whole live if you haven't, and think about it. Think about it real hard. You've got a problem in your house, and you might not think it's a problem now, but my advice is, there's plenty of dick out there. You probably need to go get another one. Yep. Now, any of you on the other side want to say something and get banned before we go? Now, everyone here, they're dumb. So, this is why I'm doing it, because they're stupid. So I'm trying to filter out the extra stupid. Anyone on the other side want to mouth off to me so I can just ban you now? Hello, Let It Go. We're getting... Let It Go. I have someone trying to get Melton to come to kill me. So I had to have a live explaining on how stupid they are trying to do this. Because I was just getting ready to go, and I was challenging the other side to come out and run their mouth before I said goodbye. Now, I don't care who clips this. I mean, Constant Sue, cry over it, bitch. Heavens, baby, cry over it, bitch. Heavens, baby, clip all you want out of context. I don't care. Because you know what? They don't take clips out of context when you go to the police. Sorry, it's not evidence of anything. And I've not threatened anything. I have just admitted to things I've done in the past. Oh, well, Constant Sue is always crying. I think that's why she's Constance. And once again, she's one of the most uninteresting creatures I have ever seen. Yep. Now, once again, before I go, Kim Tucky's like, what happened to the tablet that Asia bought him? It's sitting right over here in a box. And when I'm done with it, I put it back in this plastic, and I put it back in the box, so this little creature here and the other ones don't scratch it up. You've not seen it because I'm busy taking good care of it. And I thank you for taking me to the store. I really appreciated it. And I really wanted us to be friends. And I'll give you and Asia a couple weeks to have a come to Jesus moment. But Rap started attacking me and I just defended myself. And Kim Tucky, you've seen my lair. You know the layout here. You know right where my house is. And you also know and have agreed that anyone that shows up here to harm me is a dead man. Because this place is fully set up for my defense. So I have to laugh about it all. Now, once again, I didn't stop being friends with the other people. They stopped being friends with me. And I don't take shit from no one. That is a fact of Roger. I do not take shit from anyone. It's my golden rule. I will tell others how it is. Now, once again, I can do diplomacy. I can reach equitable agreements. But one thing I don't do is take shit. Well, thank you, Kim. Now, once again, Smoky Mountain Mama, your boyfriend was trying to vector harm into me. And he failed. Now, there has been something that I said. When you try to kill me, you better make sure that it succeeds. Because I've had people threaten my life before. And this is what I told them. You got one shot and you better succeed. Because if you don't, it costs you everything. Now, once again, most people are smart enough, but you know what? On the other side, you have proved you're stupid animals. So that forced us to have this conversation. And yes, anything that's a threat to my life, I will eliminate because it is my lawful right of self-defense to eliminate anything that is an imminent threat to my life. So if we want to talk about on moral grounds, there you go. Now, I do also want to say something, everyone. I apologize that I had to do this live. I apologize to you, the viewer, that I had to say the things that I did today. But I felt that it had to be done. I didn't do it for your entertainment, and I didn't try to be entertaining. Now, I am happy that my friends did come here and listen to my message to these stupid individuals. But Rap, you can get Smoky Mountain Mama to ride you up here to Mount Vernon. And you can fight me. Anytime. Matter of fact, I'd fight you and Jimbo one-on-one. You know, one at a time. You see, Jimbo would throw you up at first. But in reality, if we fought, it would be about 3 seconds. Mine and your fight. See, this is why I said I'd be willing to fight you and Jimbo back to back. Because you and I would be 3 seconds. Jimbo, I would savor that like a steak. Now, everyone, thank you for coming. And I really did mean that apologizing to you. I hated having to do this live. I found it disgusting. But once again, Rap is trying to bring harm to me. And that could bring harm to Smoky Mountain Mama. Because once again, you know, if anyone was to come here and attack me, well, I guarantee I would reciprocate. If Rap ever actually incites someone to come to attack me, that person will die on this ground. That's a given. This place is set up for my defense. But anyone that ever incites that against me, an attempted murder against me, well, you know what? We just have to play the old-fashioned games. And I've never been caught. And don't you ever forget that. Now, everyone, thank you for coming and have a good day. And my next live will be for entertainment purposes only. And thank you for coming, and a sincere apology. And yes, Rap, if you ever want to come here and get your ass whipped, you can, but you won't, because you can only swing at women. Now, everyone, have a good night.